Welcome back, guys. Day 13 of the Cyber Advent 2024. Aaron here, aka Cyber Sensei. I'm going to be walking through day 13, which is all about WebSockets. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. If you haven't already, go ahead and start up your VMs. That way they're loading while you're watching along to this, and then when we get into the hands-on stuff, it's already ready to go. Without further ado, let's get the story going. Wares are all about security. The glitch discovers that an app is illegally tracking the cars in Warville. Not many car thefts in the city warrant such an extreme measure. He reaches out to McSkitty to investigate and identify how the application is tracking them and leaking users' positions. Boom. So we're going to be learning about WebSockets and their vulnerabilities. We're going to learn about the WebSocket message manipulation. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. So what are even WebSockets, right? Well, you can think of it like an open line of communication between a browser and a server. The way that people used to do it was via polling, where the server or the browser would send a request saying, hey, any updates? And they would do this every so often. It would have a preset time frame, but this was kind of inefficient, right? That people wanted a way where it was a little more efficient, where requests didn't have to be sent out every time. So what they developed were WebSockets, and essentially what happens is once a connection is established, it remains established for the remainder of the session. For example, we have a socket over here and a socket over here. They're going to do a handshake and they're going to connect, right? And then for the remainder of the session, they're going to be connected. And that way they don't have to reestablish the connection every time. They don't have to do a handshake. They don't have to do TCP handshake or anything like that every time they want to connect and talk to each other. They're just automatically connected. And then this guy can send requests over here. This guy can send answers, and then vice versa, right? This guy can send requests over here, and this guy can send answers. So that's essentially how WebSockets work. You can see HTTP request versus WebSocket. Right here is basically what I just said. Normally, you have HTTP requests, which are, get. So, hey, I want this from the server. Server's like, okay, here you go. Boom, that's a post request back. So instead of doing that, WebSockets just have the connection established, and it's a lot more quicker, a lot more efficient for things to get sent over and back between the browser and the server. WebSockets, they do boost performance, they're more efficient, but that comes with security risks, right? So if they aren't set up properly, this can lead to things like weak authentication, authorization. So WebSockets by default do not have any of these things pre-configured or set up or ready to go out of the box. You have to go in and do it manually to ensure that everything is securely being sent and received. And if not, attackers can utilize this against you and send maybe messages or unintentional data to the server that you may not want on there. Message tampering, so again, this kind of falls into manipulation of the data in transit between the WebSockets. What they can do is send messages here that aren't intended to be sent or that are completely malicious, like maybe executing a command or posting a message on a message board, or whatever it is, something that's just not intended normally in the flow of the program. Then we have cross-site WebSocket hijacking. So this happens when an attacker tricks a user's browser into opening the WebSocket connection to another site, and then this would allow the attacker to hijack that connection or access the data meant for the legit person. So it's like kind of a man in the middle attack almost. Then denial of service. You can just make the WebSocket unavailable or just clog it with a bunch of data so that the legit data can't be sent and received, therefore hindering whatever process the WebSocket was in charge of. So what is WebSocket manipulation? Well, to sum this whole wall of text up for you guys, it's pretty much when an attacker intercepts and alters WebSocket messages sent between a web app and its server, and then exploiting the lack of built-in security measures like encryption or validation. And this can lead to unauthorized actions, data tampering, or even full system compromise, especially in real-time applications handling sensitive information. But let's go ahead and hop into today's activity. So we're going to navigate to this link here. This was from the previous day. So before we get started, what we're going to do is you're going to start up Burp first of all. Then we're going to go to settings. We're going to go to Burp browser. We're going to make sure allow Burp browser to run without a sandbox. Then we're gonna go over to proxy settings, and we're just gonna make sure that these WebSocket interception rules are enabled. They should be by default, but if they're not, just make sure those two are checked. All right, and we're ready to go. We're going to go over to intercept. I did realize that we cannot use the burp browser. We have to use a regular browser. So all you do is go to the regular browser in your attack box, make sure your proxy here is turned to burp, and that's it. Intercept will still work fine. You'll get all your interception requests there, and you'll be able to do what I'm doing here. Before we turn intercept on, what I'm going to do is just navigate there, just so you can see what it looks like, right? So the whole thing of this app is we're tracking this car as it's going, and we'll see it in a second how the WebSockets work, but you can see here there are reports coming in as well. So that's pretty much how it's working. So we'll go ahead and I'm going to move this over here. We'll go ahead and reload this page, and then we're going to turn on intercept. All right, and you can see here we're starting to get some requests with the intercept. So what we're going to do is hit track, so we can start tracking the car. And you can see here the type, right? So this is going to be an HTTP. This is a WebSocket. So you can see we're getting so we can go over here to WebSocket history, and we'll be able to see everything that's going on. So you can see, you know, we're getting a lot of stuff, and you can see, so I'll go back to one. All right, so right here you can see my reindeer stopped to eat some grass, and pretty much there it is, right? My reindeer stopped to eat some grass. So we were able to intercept this guy's message and how it's working. What we're looking for here specifically is how it identifies who is sending the message. You can see that here with sender ID. So it's safe to assume that sender ID is the user that is sending this message right here. So we go ahead and forward. We'll just forward a bit. So we'll go back over here to the advent. So what we're looking for, and this is like all the settings I told you guys to do. So what we're looking for is this message right here. And they want us to change it to an ID of 8 to impersonate. So let's see if we get one of those. All right, so we've got the message right here. So all we're going to do is edit the user ID. They want us to change it to 8 for malware. We're going to hit forward. So if you don't get this message initially, just hit the untrack button and then hit track again while intercept's on, and you will get to this message. And we should get a message right here from malware. Once we forward this, it'll appear there. We'll go ahead and do that. And there it is. That's the flag, the first flag. So let's go to the next step. Following the successful identification of WebSocket message manipulation, Glitch continued testing for further ways to exploit the application. This time he wanted to see if the message posted on the app could be altered and manipulated. Is it possible to post using a different user ID? To get the second one, we saw here that we needed to basically see if we can send a message as someone else. Turn intercept off, refresh this page, and then we're going to turn it back on. And then we're going to send a message here. So, hey everyone, I'm an imposter. Enter. Alright, and then we're going to come back to burp. And we should see that message here. Yep, Baruski. Then all we're going to do is change it to 8 for malware. Hit forward on that. And then we're going to turn intercept off, and boom, we get the second flag. So you can see here, we send our message. He's like, I didn't send that last message, and then we get our flag. So we just copy that, go back over here, put that in, and that is day 13, guys. Pretty straightforward WebSocket tutorial. If you were having issues with any of this, like when I was first going through this room, I had a lot of issues trying to figure out how to actually send the messages and to change the sender ID and all that stuff. If it's not working or you're not getting the flags or not appearing, make sure that one, you're in the regular Firefox browser with your proxy correctly enabled, so the Foxy proxy, and two, if it's still not working, then turn intercept off, refresh the page, turn intercept on, and then start getting your requests in again. I found that this helped me out a lot. To recap, guys, we learned what WebSockets were today. We learned a few vulnerabilities for them. We then exploited some vulnerabilities, so we learned how to manipulate messages, and we learned how to send a message by manipulating the sender ID to send it as someone else. So overall, pretty cool room today. If you guys did want to learn more about burp sleep and how that works, maybe some more web app testing and fuzzing, they do have a module here and they have other ones as well. But that's pretty much everything. This is Aaron, aka Cyber Sensei. If you enjoyed the video or you think someone else would benefit from this knowledge, go ahead and share this with that friend or few friends. If you want to follow along, subscribe. If you liked the video, leave a like. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.